Like, I don't want to use the word ally. I think people just look at it as like collecting badges. Like, oh, cool, ally, boom, I'm good, I'm done. I'm done. You standing up should be the standard. It's like telling me that you showered this morning and then wanting a badge for it. I'm not going to give you a badge. There is leverage in talking about social issues, especially if you don't A, get the brunt of it, and B, you're a man. If you call me a person of color, I really don't know who you're talking to. You must be talking to Shorty back there, because it's definitely not me. I'm black, okay? So you're going to put that capital B on it, and I'm black, okay?
Sometimes it don't make no sense. Does it really have to? There is nothing I can.
Hi, welcome to Maya's world. Alright, you all, I'm trying to be quick with making videos because my mind was blown, and I'm sure a lot of you all's mind was blown with some information that has come out on a YouTuber called Murad Merali. So if you're new to my channel, my name is Maya. I like to use things that happen in media to kind of get into the social issues behind it. Today I'm going to be talking about Murad Merali. Who's a British YouTuber. I'm going to be talking about POC versus black, people of color versus being a black person. And I'm going to be talking about allyship. Okay? Because I have been wanting to talk about this for such a long time, but I was waiting for some smoke to come, and the smoke has definitely come. So I'm going to try and talk about this video without getting demonetized, because a lot of this content is definitely risque. I would say it's rated R, okay? But I'm gonna try and make the PG-13 version of it. So I'm going to be using language that's not exactly, you know, the same. You guys have to kind of fill in the blanks. So for those who are new to my channel, my name is Maya. I was born in London but completely raised in Atlanta, and then when I was 20 I went to school in England. I went to the University of Sheffield, and I lived there for some years. So this content is more so dealing with the black British side of the internet, but it's related to everybody, and I'm going to draw in the things that I've noticed from living in the UK, growing up in Atlanta, even some things in Germany, and just kind of speak to my experiences. I have always been really fascinated with black British YouTube, because there have been first off, I loved a lot of black British makeup artists, especially back in the day when YouTube first started. I remember looking at so many people that I liked, but I've always I'm probably 50%, like half of my feed is probably 50% black British people. Also, they have a lot of dark-skinned people who just speak on issues that I like, okay? So somebody who is really big in the black British YouTube scene is a guy called Murad Merali, who is not a black person. He is a person of color. I think I've heard different things on his ethnicity. Someone said he was Pakistani, somebody said he was half Turkish, half Yemen. I don't know exactly what his background is, but he's South Asian, let's say that. Murad Merali is a YouTuber. He talks a lot about Love Island, but he stay talking majority about black issues. If you scroll through his feed, you will see more black people in thumbnails than you will see people of his own ethnicity. And yesterday, someone had leaked his videos of, I think, the profession he did before he was a famous YouTuber. He had an OnlyFans account. If you're new, or if you just don't understand what OnlyFans is, I would say OnlyFans is built off the backs of what people who do WEX work is, okay? People who like to sell nudes, people who like to do whatever falls into the category of WEX work. If you get what I'm trying to say, when I say WEX, you pick the W with the S, you know what I'm saying? So it's, you know, I think sometimes there are some explicit content on there. I know people who also don't put explicit content on OnlyFans, but I think the people who really built OnlyFans up to be the name it was is off of WEX workers. So Murad Merali have videos of him engaging in foot play. So there's videos of him slapping hard. I didn't even know someone could slap with their foot like that, but he was slapping people with his foot. To be honest, that's not even the part that I think is riling people up. What's riling people up is that it has been alleged that he is engaging in race play. For those who don't know what race play is a type of role play between two consenting adults, where you play into racial stereotypes. One category of it is when you use derogatory slurs. Okay, so Murad Merali is allegedly, there's some videos of him, some videos where you can hear his voice. Let me say allegedly. You can hear his voice though if you go look for the videos. And people were, you know, doing CSI investigation and showing images of his lamp in one of the videos, and the lamp in the video of him doing the work. And I think he has also come out and acknowledged that that was his account that is online. And the name on his account is called Arab Master. So everyone's mad because of there are some videos with titles, and the titles have the N-word in it. It's referring to black people as monkeys, and it's referring to Asian people with derogatory terms towards Chinese people. It's having everything. It's having everything. It's a mixed bag of all types of racist stuff going on in them videos and in them captions. People are obviously livid because this is somebody who has built their content, and predominantly, I would say majority of their fan base would be black women. So they have built their content essentially off the backs of black women, to now be revealed, allegedly, that when he was engaging in sex work, he was also using derogatory terms and calling black people the N-word and monkeys. And like, I just want to also go and say, like, people were saying, oh, it's not good to, we don't need to kink shame. You don't need to kink shame. First off, I'm not kinking the whole foot thing. For real, like, live your best. Like, when I first saw the foot thing, I was like, oh, okay. I lived in Berlin. That's a Tuesday. That's like a normal, you know, and I don't even care about the foot fetish thing. Like, if you want to slap someone with your feet, slap. If you what, I'm all here for it. Pleasure is pleasure. But you're not about to tell me that I shouldn't kink shame race play. Absolutely not. Race play, child play. I'm not one of them YouTubers that are like, no shame, no shame. Shame them. Shame them. What? No, because you're now engaged. We are now having to witness, because he engaged in race play, we are now having to witness the things that he has said about those people. Like, that now is affecting me. That affected me. Someone has said, oh, Murad Merali, he's done, you know, he was protesting at the Black Lives Matter. I heard someone say, he's done more for the black race than black people. Dead that. Dead that immediately. Dead that immediate. All that phrasing ever, dead that. I've heard people say that in different arenas, right? To assume that protesting or advocacy is doing more than anything else is really ignorant. First off, in this life, as a black person, all you have to do is stay black and die, as they say. That expression, I used to hear that a lot as a kid. I didn't realize how hard it was. A lot of people don't stay black in their whole life. Michael Jackson. A lot of people don't stay black their whole lives. And so to stay black and just exist as that, that's all you really have to do as a black person. What you add on top, you know, that can either be cherry or it can be poison. But what you add on top, but you don't get to ever escape it. So because you see Shorty passing out some water bottles at a Black Lives Matter, you want to go and open your goat mouth and say that that's doing more than people who don't do nothing? Dead that. Like, that's so very bizarre. Like, and it's like, also what this speaks to is like, there is leverage in talking about social issues, especially if you don't A, get the brunt of it, and B, you're a man. Like, people forget misogyny in this. Like, Murad Merali is a man talking about black women's business, like, and he's non-black, and like, these are the two things that get us enamored, you know? Like, people really feel like he had place to do that, and I want to gently kind of move us in another direction and use this time of this being exposed to kind of remind people that this will always, if you keep platforming people who don't look like you, this will always keep happening, because allyship isn't real, right? If someone is talking about a race that he does not actually exist as, he is profiting off of that race. I'm so sorry, sweeties. I don't know how else to say it. Take, for example, if I was to make a platform advocating off the backs of fat women, experiences that I don't speak to, if I was to always say it every day, people wouldn't come for me the same way they would come for a fat woman speaking on behalf of her lived reality. Because a fat woman speaking on behalf of her reality will get people who are not only trying to fat shame her, trying to belittle her, but also trying to tell her that her experiences aren't real. Okay, so I would only benefit off of speaking about something that I don't live by. And this is why I still stand that I don't like when people who aren't dark skinned speak on colorism, because they will always be first to be hit up by a news station. I saw this Nigerian girl and she's light skinned and she had a whole video about colorism that was just not radical, just saying that, you know, colorism is bad. And like she got put on a big platform to go and speak to a newscaster about colorism. Like that is just the repetitive thing of what happens when people who are not experiencing something speak on it. You will always get leverage and there's always money in it. So from my experience of seeing Murad Merali talk a lot and be having a lot of content built off of the backs of Black women, I can't help but feel like that in the UK, I remember when I went to the UK when I was 12 years old, and for the first time since I had been born there. I talked to some kids and they were like, you know, over here, like racism doesn't exist like it does in the US. And I think that was like a really common narrative back in the day in the UK. It might still be kind of now, but not as, I wouldn't say it's as common as what it was back in the day. And I think there's this thing of being like, well, we're all mixed together, we're all one. But like the reality of things is not like that. So if you are from America, you know that if we go to the beauty supply stores here in Atlanta, majority of people who are owning the beauty supply stores, I would say would be Koreans, maybe Chinese, but those are the people who own the beauty supply stores here in America. In England, the people who own the beauty supply stores there will be South Asian, they may be Indian, they may be Pakistani, one of them, right? So, and I have been in stores in England where they have asked to search me and it has been South Asian people. I have been in stores where I have been insulted, I have been followed, and it's by South Asian people. So to act as if we're all one, when like a lot of the stores in the UK, even the stores that are black hair stores in the UK, a lot of black hair stores in the UK are going to be ran by South Asian. Like it is very hard to see Black people that are able to have access to hair stores. So it's exactly like the US with Koreans that are owning the hair stores. Anti-Blackness is global. In every single country in the world, there is a word for the N-word, because anti-Blackness is something that affects every, like, you don't even people who have never seen Black people, they already have some interpretation because of how media works and because of anti-Blackness, which is, like I said, a global issue. So I never fell for that whole thing, like we are all mixed together, we are all one. And I'm not saying all Black people in Britain do that, because I know there are a lot of Black people in Britain who have been really, really resistant. But I think that plus something that I remember hearing in school, there is a phrase in the UK called politically black. Okay? This phrase is, listen, let me give you the exact definition. Okay, so there's a term called political blackness, which is in the UK, is an umbrella term to refer to all people in the UK who are likely to experience discrimination based on color. Example, anyone who is not white. I have literally met British people who are Indian, and they're telling me that. Like in another country, I was in Germany, and a guy who's Indian was telling me he's Black. And I remember being like, no, you're not. And I just remember how much space oh my God, he literally created like a Black, he created a group, I'm trying not to out him, he created a group in Germany called like Black in Germany. Like he had created a group, and there was hella people in it, and he literally wasn't Black. And he was like, well, in England, I'm considered Black. And I'm like, no, you're not. Another thing I wanted to speak to when it comes to this whole politically Black is there was a situation that happened in 2016 at the University of Kent in England, where during Black History Month, they literally put up a picture of Zayn, like the pop star, and the mayor of London. His name is Sadiq Khan, who is a South Asian person, and they were literally celebrating him as Black. Even when it came to Black Pride in London, like they have a lot of people who are non-Black in the lineup. And I never understood why, if you have a title and you're saying like Black Pride or Black History Month, like why are you including people who aren't Black? Like I know that's a simple question, but I feel like asking that in the UK ruffles feathers. Like just change the name then, like say non-white, the non-white party, you know, people get it. But like let the word Black actually mean something. That's why I believe in gatekeeping Blackness, because people really try and slip and let everything under the sun as Black, and then they use it for capital. That phrase, politically Black, created space for people to just say that they're Black, even though they know they're not. And back home in their country, they would never identify as Black. It's incorrect. And it's rendering all of our experiences the same when it doesn't need to be, and it doesn't have to be, and it doesn't have to be stated like that. And it also makes it seem as if people of color, anyone who's not Black, can't be also systematically racist to black people, which we have seen time and time again. And if you don't even want to take the time and time again, we can also look on the continent. We can also look with even the first people who colonized Africa, which is Arabs. Okay, so if you want to do that whole POC thing, I think it's also very insulting to literally the colonialism that has happened at the hands of POC. The term POC means people of color. And one thing I've learned in living in different countries, that phrase means a lot of different people, okay? I really don't like that phrase. If you call me a person of color, I really don't know who you're talking to. You must be talking to Shorty back there because it's definitely not me, I'm black, okay? So you're gonna put that capital B on it and I'm black, okay? And so, you know, I think the term people of color means a lot in different places. Like take, for example, here in the South, sometimes you'll hear some older black folks and they'll refer to black people as people of color. They'll refer to us blacks as people of color. Like, oh yeah, you know, people of color, which makes sense because the word colored back in the day, you know what I'm saying? I feel like they're like, okay, cool, we're people of color, whatever, da-da-da. But I feel like I even used to use that word. I'm not even going to try and flex on people who didn't. I used to identify as people of color. I used to events and I used to have events for people of color. But I didn't realize how much that often paints us in with the same brush, when really the people will be the most disenfranchised every time are going to be the black people. So I stopped using that phrase. But I remember seeing some kind of article, and I'll try and find it, about the amount of people, professors in the UK who are South Asian compared to the professors in the UK who are black. A lot of people who are black in the UK have never even had a black professor. Mind you, there's hella black people in the UK, okay, at least in London, all right? So we're not going to act like the numbers aren't there. It has nothing to do with numbers. It has to do with systemic power. People always want to be like, well, you know, in the UK, we don't have as many blacks as, you know, say Atlanta. And that's true, right? But we also need to realize that in South Africa, where literally everybody was black, white people were still in power. So blackness being seen as the lowest class has nothing to do with how many there are or not, okay? It has everything to do with just what it means globally and how people step into the same positions of power and how people step into the same systems of oppression on black people, okay? So we're not going, don't even try and play me. I've been to too many countries for y'all try and switch it up and try and gaslight me. Murad Merali, I feel like the relationship that he has to black people reminds me of the relationship that black people have to the gatekeepers of the things that are our culture. So every single time we have to go to a store in the UK to go and get African food, the people who are owning the food 90% of the time will be South Asian people. So we have internalized this thing that the people who have access to our culture don't look like us. So I think that is why we are subconsciously chasing someone who doesn't look like us to tell us about what's going on in our society. I think this is mad disrespectful to the amount of black content creators who do actually speak on issues, who do actually speak on colorism, who are dark skinned, who do actually have Love Island critiques, which, by the way, this is an opportunity to, if y'all know black people who do speak on Love Island, I know that's, you know, that was the biggest arena, people are following him, tag them in the comments. Find everything he was speaking about, tag black content creators who are making that in the comments, because we do exist and we have to realize that where we put our energy is also where we put our money. Black women platformed him, and ultimately allyship isn't real, okay? It's not real in my opinion. I don't know why we even want to use that word. Like I don't want to use the word ally. I've helped out many people in my life who are not black, and I've never heard that word given to me. I've never heard someone be like, wow, like, you know what I'm saying? I think that I've only seen that word so heavily within black people using it for white people. And I think when you get that word, it's like getting a badge in Girl Scouts. I think people just look at it as like collecting badges. Like, oh, cool, ally, boom, I'm good, I'm done. I'm done. You standing up should be the standard. It's like telling me that you showered this morning and then wanting a badge for it. I'm not going to give you a badge. Because every single time I helped out somebody that doesn't look like me, I wasn't expecting a badge. I wasn't expecting a title. I wasn't expecting to then be platformed and to speak on their issues for the rest of my life. You would never see me open my mouth to speak on no other group's issues because I only speak for the things that I know. So I think this really speaks to a lot of stuff. And yeah, goodness gracious. It's a mess. Like I would, you know, like I said in the earlier, I think this is a good time to tag content creators, British content creators, black British content creators who are doing the work, or just black content creators who you feel like are doing the work, because go ahead and write them in the comments, because right now with this happening with him, So yeah, do you guys like how I tied my hair up? I don't know if you can see it. I have like a rubber band here, but that's why my hair is kind of looking, it's giving cascades. So yes, if you like it, let me know. And I forgot to even say, this is my makeup. My makeup was inspired by this black makeup artist. I'll like tag her, I'll like show her picture and tag her in here because I wanted to shout that out. But yeah, this is my makeup. So let me know. I'm covering up a little bit more in this video, you know. Usually I like to have my little girls out, but you know, just giving you butch. So thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.